The council chamber was huge. It stretched so far that the back wall seemed to disappear into shadow. Hundreds of seats filled the circular room, each one holding a representative from a different alien species. Some were tall and thin like walking trees. Others were short and covered in scales. A few floated in special containers filled with liquid. The air smelled strange, like metal and flowers mixed together. Captain Ho sat in the human section, his arms crossed. He was a middle-aged man with short black hair and a scar running down his left cheek. Next to him sat a young woman with glasses who served as Earth's language expert. She whispered translations in his ear as different aliens spoke. "This is the 47th session," said quietly. "They've been refusing to help for 3 hours now." At the center of the chamber stood three figures that looked nothing like any species Ho had ever seen. They were Their bodies seemed to be made of crystal or glass, catching the light and breaking it into rainbows. They were beautiful in a strange way, but they also looked tired, broken, desperate. The tallest one, Elder, spoke again. His voice came out like wind chimes, musical but sad. The translation device turned his words into something humans could understand. "Please," said, "my people have lived in peace for 10,000 years. We have never made war. We have never taken what was not ours, but now the Dominion comes. They destroy our worlds one by one. They want our minerals, our crystals, our very bodies to use in their machines. We are dying. Our children are dying. Please, someone help us." A large blue alien with 6 arms stood up. He was from one of the most powerful species in the galaxy. His voice was deep and cold. "The system is 3 months' travel from our nearest outpost," he said. "The cost to send a fleet would be enormous. What can you offer in return?" His crystalline body seemed to dim. "We are a peaceful people. We have no weapons to trade, no armies to lend. Our crystals are part of our bodies. We cannot give them without dying. We can only offer our friendship and our gratitude." The blue alien sat down. "Then we cannot help you. Economics must be considered." One by one, other species stood and gave their reasons for refusing. "Too far away, too expensive, not our problem. The Dominion was too powerful to fight. They had no strategic value. Some didn't even bother with reasons. They simply voted no." Ho felt his jaw tighten. His hands formed fists on his knees, touched his arm gently. "Don't," she whispered. "We're just observers here. We don't have authority to speak." But Ho had seen this before. He remembered reading history books as a child. He remembered stories of nations that turned away refugees, of people who closed their eyes to suffering because it was convenient. He remembered Earth's own dark times when the planet nearly destroyed itself and no one came to help. A tall, thin alien called for the final vote. "All those in favor of rendering aid to the indicate now." Silence. Not a single light appeared on the voting board. "All those opposed." The board lit up like a night sky. 47 votes against, 0 votes for help. "The motion is," the thin alien said. "The petition is rejected. This council cannot help you. You are dismissed." Elder stood still for a moment. The light inside his crystal body flickered like a dying flame. The 2 others with him began to shake, their bodies making sounds like breaking glass. They were crying, Ho realized. "Then we will die," said quietly. "And our children will die, and 10,000 years of peace and culture will end because no one would stand with us. I understand. Thank you for hearing our plea." The 3 turned to leave. They moved slowly, like each step took great effort. The other council members were already talking among themselves, discussing lunch plans and trade agreements. They were already forgotten. Ho stood up suddenly. His chair scraped against the floor with a loud noise, grabbed his arm. "Ho, what are you doing?" "Something right," he said. He walked quickly across the chamber floor. His boots echoed in the huge space. Other aliens stopped talking and watched him. Humans were new to the galactic community. They were small, weak, and usually kept quiet in council sessions. Seeing one walk across the sacred floor during a session was unusual. Elder Ho called out, the crystal being turned around. Up close, Ho could see faces inside the crystal body like images trapped in glass. Memories maybe, or souls, he didn't know. Yes, human. His voice was tired, empty of hope. I'm Captain Ho of Earth's Diplomatic Corps, he said. I want to say something on behalf of my people. Your people also voted to refuse us, said softly. No, we didn't get a vote. We're still new here. We're just observers. Ho took a breath. But I watched what happened here today. I watched every powerful species in this galaxy turn their backs on you, and I want you to know something. Earth remembers what that feels like. His body brightened a little. What do you mean? 200 years ago, Earth almost died. We had wars, disease, climate collapse. We sent messages into space begging for help. No one answered. We had to save ourselves. It was hard. Millions died, but we survived. And we learned something from that pain. What did you learn? That being powerful means nothing if you won't help those who are weak. That having strength is worthless if you only use it to protect yourself. Ho looked back at the council members who were watching them. These species call themselves advanced, civilized, but what I saw today wasn't civilized. It was cowardly. Careful, human, someone shouted from the seats. You insult this council. Ho ignored them. He looked at Elder. Come with me to Earth. Tell your story to our leaders. I can't promise we'll be able to help. We're small compared to these giants. We don't have a huge military. We're still building our fleet. But I promise you this, we'll listen. Really listen. And if there's any way we can help, we will. Why? Asked. What do you gain from this? Maybe nothing, Ho admitted. Maybe we'll lose a lot, but my grandfather used to tell me something. He said that you're not measured by what you do when it's easy and safe. You're measured by what you do when it's hard and dangerous, when helping costs you something real. Was quiet for a long moment. Then his body began to glow brighter. It was a warm light like sunrise. I will come to Earth, said. I will tell your leaders what is happening to my people. But I must warn you, Captain Ho, the Dominion will not stop. If Earth helps us, they will make Earth their enemy too. Then they'll learn what happens when you make humans your enemy, Ho said. We're stubborn that way. Had caught up to them. She looked worried but also proud. I'll send a message to Earth immediately. Tell them to prepare for Elder's arrival. As they walked out of the council chamber together, Ho could feel eyes watching them. Some looked curious. Others looked angry. A few looked thoughtful, as if maybe they were reconsidering their votes. But most just looked away and went back to their conversations. There were someone else's problem now. Someone small and weak and foolish enough to care. Ho smiled grimly. Let them think humans were foolish. Earth had been counted out before. It had always been a mistake. The meeting room in Geneva was crowded and tense. Every important leader of Earth's government sat around the long table. Admiral Sungmin, a gray-haired man with sharp eyes, stood at the front near a large display screen. President Mi sat at the head of the table, her face serious and thoughtful. She was younger than most expected for a president, but she had been elected because people trusted her judgment. Captain Ho stood next to Elder. The crystal alien's presence made the room feel strange. His body reflected the ceiling lights in dozens of directions, creating patterns on the walls like moving art. Some people stared. Others tried not to look. Let me make sure I understand correctly, said Admiral Sungmin. He pointed at the screen showing star maps. The Dominion Collective has already destroyed 3 colony worlds. They're now surrounding the main planet Prime. They have maybe 2 months before their falls. Elder's voice chimed softly. Less than that, perhaps. The Dominion grows bolder each day. They know no one will stop them. A woman in an expensive suit spoke up. She was the Minister of Economics. With respect, Elder, Earth is still recovering from the colony wars. We spent enormous resources establishing our settlements on Mars and Europa. Our budget is stretched thin. How can we afford to send our fleet halfway across the galaxy? You can't, said another man. He was the military advisor. Our fleet has 43 operational warships. Intelligence reports say the Dominion has more than 200 ships surrounding the system. This isn't a battle we can win. President Mi leaned forward. Captain Ho, you brought Elder here. You must have considered these facts. Why did you think Earth should get involved? Ho had thought about this question during the entire trip back from the council station. He had asked himself the same thing 100 times. Now he had to make everyone else understand. Because it's right, he said simply. I know that sounds naive. I know we should think about costs and benefits. But I watched 47 different species turn their backs on people who were begging for their lives. And I thought, if Earth does the same thing, what does that make us? It makes us smart, someone muttered. It makes us survivors. A young lieutenant named Wu Jin stood up from his seat near the back. He was a tactical officer, known for his clever strategies. May I speak, Admiral? He asked. Sung Min nodded. Go ahead, Lieutenant. Wu Jin walked to the front and pulled up different images on the screen. I've been studying the Dominion's tactics. They're powerful, yes, but they're also arrogant. They win through overwhelming force, not through clever fighting. They don't expect resistance. What's your point? The Minister of Economics asked. My point is we don't have to win in a traditional way, Wu Jin explained. We can't match their numbers, but we can make them bleed. We can use guerrilla tactics, hit-and-run attacks, defense in depth. We make it expensive for them. So expensive that continuing the siege costs more than it's worth. Admiral Sung Min looked interested. You're talking about asymmetric warfare. Exactly. Earth has always been good at that. We're small, but we're stubborn. We make bullies regret picking on us. The room started buzzing with conversation. People argued back and forth. Some liked the idea. Others thought it was suicide. Then a woman's voice cut through the noise. May I say something? Everyone turned. It was a civilian representative. She was a humanitarian worker who had spent years in disaster zones helping refugees. She wasn't military or political. She was just someone who cared about people. I'm not a soldier, said. I don't understand tactics or strategies, but I do understand something else. I understand what happens to people when the world turns its back on them. She stood up slowly. I've worked in places where people had nothing, where they watched their children starve because no one would help. And you know what I learned? Those people never forget. They never forget who helped and who looked away. Walked around the table, making eye contact with each person. Right now, we're choosing what kind of species humanity will be. We're choosing our identity in this galaxy. If we help we might lose ships. We might lose lives. We might lose money. But if we don't help them, we lose something else. We lose our humanity. We lose the right to call ourselves good. The room was completely silent now. Even those who had been arguing stopped. The galaxy is watching, continued. They think they know who we are. They think we're just another species that cares only about ourselves. But what if we show them something different? What if we show them that humans help people even when it costs us? What kind of galaxy could we build if we do that? President Mi closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, Ho could see she had made a decision. Elder, the president said, if Earth helps you, the Dominion will become our enemy. They might attack Earth itself someday. Are you asking us to risk that? His crystal body dimmed with sadness. I would never ask another species to die for mine. I came here hopping for any help, even just supplies or weapons. But Captain Ho insisted I tell you everything. So yes, if you help us, the Dominion will remember. They will mark Earth as an enemy. And if we don't help you, Mi asked, what happens to your people? We die, said simply, all of us. Our culture, our history, everything we have built over 10,000 years, it all ends, and the galaxy will forget we ever existed. Mi stood up. I'm going to call for a vote, but before I do, I want to tell you all something. My grandmother survived the climate wars. She lived in a shelter with 3,000 other refugees. They had no food, no clean water, no medicine. She told me that one day a group of strangers came. These strangers didn't know them, didn't owe them anything, but they shared what little they had anyway. My grandmother said that was the day she learned what humanity really means, not the species. The quality, the choice to help when you don't have to. She looked around the room. We're going to vote, and whatever we decide as humans, the real kind. The vote was close. 20 people voted yes, 18 voted no, 3 abstained. It was enough. The motion passes, President Me announced. Earth will defend the... Half the room erupted in cheers. The other half sat in worried silence. Admiral Sungmin immediately started giving orders. I want our entire fleet ready to move in 72 hours. Every ship we can spare goes. We'll need to pack extra supplies, ammunition, repair equipment. Lieutenant Wu Jin, you're promoted to commander. I want a complete tactical plan by tomorrow morning. Wu Jin's eyes went wide. Yes, sir. Ho walked over to Elder. We're coming, he said. Earth is coming to help you. His body glowed so bright it hurt to look at. His voice came out like pure music, beautiful and overwhelming. Why? Why would you do this? You barely know us. Because someone has to, Ho said. Because if everyone just looks out for themselves, what's the point of civilization? What's the point of all our technology and all our power if we only use it to be selfish? Later that night, Ho stood on the balcony of his hotel room looking at the stars. Found him there. Can't sleep, she asked. Thinking about all the people who are going to die, he admitted. We're going to lose ships. Good people aren't coming home. I know, stood next to him. But think about it this way. Those people will die doing something that matters. They'll die proving that humanity is more than just another species fighting for resources. They'll die showing the galaxy that there's a different way. You think the galaxy will care? Some will, pointed up at the stars. There are billions of beings out there. If even a few of them see what we're doing and think, maybe I should be more like that, then we've changed something important. We've changed what's possible. Ho thought about that. He thought about Elder's people, waiting in their crystal cities for death to come. He thought about the council members who had voted no, going home to their comfortable lives. He thought about all the species that could help but wouldn't. And he thought about Earth. Small, stubborn Earth. The planet that almost died and had to save itself. The planet that remembered what it felt like to be alone and scared. We're really doing this, he said. We're really doing this, agreed. Across the city, Admiral Sungmin was in the military command center. He looked at the list of ships and crews being prepared for departure. 43 ships, 30,000 personnel, all heading into a battle they couldn't win by normal measures. But Sungmin had learned something in his 50 years of military service. Normal measures didn't account for human stubbornness. They didn't account for fighting for something bigger than yourself. They didn't account for the power of believing you were on the right side of history. Prepare the fleet, he said to his officers. We're going to show the galaxy what happens when you mess with someone under human protection. In his quarters, Elder stood alone, his crystal body pulsing with light. He was sending a message back to his, telling them that hope had arrived from an impossible place, that a species they barely knew was coming to stand with them, that they weren't alone anymore. As his message traveled across the stars at faster-than-light speeds, wondered what his people would think. Would they believe it? Would they understand why humans would do this? He hoped they would live long enough to find out. The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. 43 ships, small by galactic standards, but it was everything Earth could send. Captain Ho stood on the bridge of the flagship Indomitable, watching the come alive with data. What he saw made his stomach drop. The Dominion fleet surrounded Prime like a net of steel. Huge warships, each one bigger than anything humans had built. The computer counted them automatically. 217 enemy vessels, and more were arriving every day. "Sir," said the communications officer, "we're being hailed by the Dominion commander." "Put it through," Ho ordered. A face appeared on the screen. It was reptilian, with green scales and yellow eyes that had no pupils. This was Overlord, commander of the Dominion forces. His mouth opened to show rows of sharp teeth. "So, hissed, the rumors are true. Humans have come to play hero. How amusing." "This is Captain Ho of Earth's Space Command," Ho said calmly. "We are here under the protection clause of our own laws. They are under human protection now. Leave this system immediately." Laughed. It sounded like rocks grinding together. "You have 43 tiny ships. I have more than 200 warships. You cannot win this fight, human. I am giving you one chance to leave. Take it. Go home. Tell your leaders that the Dominion is not interested in making enemies of Earth. Not yet." "The answer is no," Ho said. "You go through us first." Stopped laughing. His eyes narrowed. "So be it. Your deaths will be quick at least. That is my gift to you for your bravery, which is really just stupidity wearing a nice name." The screen went dark. Commander, leader of the fighter wing, looked at Ho. She was young but fierce, with short hair and sharp eyes. "Orders, Captain." "Set up defensive perimeter around Prime," Ho said. "Make it tight. They want to get to the planet, they have to get through us. And send a message to all ships. Tell them to remember why we're here." The human fleet moved into position. They formed a sphere around the crystal planet below. From the surface, thousands of watched the sky, seeing human ships take up protective positions above their homes. Elder was on the surface. He watched through a viewing window as the human fleet positioned itself between his people and death. Tears formed in his crystalline eyes, which was rare for his species. His assistant, a younger named Lyra, stood beside him. "They are so few," Lyra said quietly. "How can so few stop so many?" "I don't know if they can," admitted. "But they are trying. That is more than anyone else did." On the Indomitable, Dong was in the engine room. He was the chief engineer, a stocky man with oil stains on his uniform and tools always hanging from his belt. He was talking to engineers through a video link, sharing human technology and learning about crystal systems. "Your crystalline power cores are incredible," Dong said, looking at the schematics. "They generate 3 times the energy of our fusion reactors. Why didn't you ever build weapons with this?" The engineer, whose name translated to, flickered with embarrassment. "We are a peaceful people. For 10,000 years we never needed weapons. We thought the galaxy was kinder." "Well, we're going to change that," Dong said firmly. "I'm sending you designs for basic defense systems. Nothing fancy, but better than nothing. Can your people manufacture them quickly?" "We can grow crystal structures very fast," said. "We could have defensive platforms ready in days." "Then let's get to work," Dong said. "Time to teach your people how to bite back." The first attack came 3 days later. 20 Dominion ships broke from their formation and rushed toward the human line. They expected the small human fleet to scatter. They were wrong. Commander was in her fighter, leading a squadron of 20 small, fast ships. Her voice crackled over the radio. "All wings, this is Phoenix leader. Remember the plan. Hit fast, hit hard, don't try to go toe-to-toe. We're mosquitoes, not tigers, make them bleed." The fighters launched from the Indomitable and other carriers. They moved like schools of fish, darting between the bigger Dominion ships. Human fighters carried missiles designed to punch above their weight. Each one found its target. Explosions bloomed in space. One Dominion ship took 3 missiles to its engine section and began spinning out of control. Another lost its weapons array. A third simply exploded when a lucky shot hit its reactor. But the Dominion ships were hitting back. Ho watched from the bridge as 2 human destroyers took heavy fire. One lost its shields. The other started venting atmosphere. All ships focus fire on the lead Dominion vessel, Ho ordered. Let's show them what concentrated fire can do. The human fleet turned its weapons on one massive Dominion battleship. Lasers, missiles, and particle beams all hit the same target. The battleship's shields flickered under the assault. Then they failed. The ship's hull began to crack. "They're retreating," the tactical officer called out. "The attack force is pulling back." It was true. The Dominion ships were moving away, back to their main fleet. They left behind 5 destroyed ships. The humans had lost 2 ships and damaged 5 more. Appeared on the screen again. He looked surprised. "You fight better than expected," he admitted. "But you cannot win. We will starve you out, cut your supply lines. Eventually you will run out of ammunition, fuel, food. Then we will finish you." "Then you better be patient," Ho said, "because we're not going anywhere." The siege began in earnest. The Dominion stopped trying direct assaults. Instead, they surrounded the system completely. Any ship trying to bring supplies to the humans was attacked. They tried to cut off Earth's fleet from resupply. But Dong had other ideas. "Captain, come look at this," he said, calling Ho down to the engineering section. Ho found Dong standing next to an engineer. Between them was a strange hybrid device, half human technology and half crystal. "What am I looking at?" Ho asked. "A solution to our supply problem," Dong said proudly. "They can grow crystals that store energy incredibly efficiently. We can use them to extend our power reserves by 300%. We've also figured out how to recycle almost everything. Water, air, even waste products. Working with we can make this fleet operate for months without resupply." Ho stared at the device. "You're serious?" "As a heart attack, sir. They have been so focused on peace that they never realized their technology could be adapted for war. But it can, and it's incredible." Over the next weeks, human and engineers worked together. They shared knowledge, combined technologies, created new solutions. Crystal arrays strengthened human shields. Human weapon systems were powered by energy cores. The two species, so different in every way, learned to complement each other perfectly. Commander's fighters became even more deadly. With crystal engines, they could fly faster and farther. She led raids deep into Dominion territory, hitting supply convoys and ammunition depots. One day she returned from a mission with damage to her fighter. The cockpit was scorched and one wing was nearly torn off, but she was smiling. "We got their main supply ship," she reported to Ho. 3 months' worth of ammunition just became space debris. "Good work," Ho said, "but stop taking so many risks. We need you alive." She shrugged. "Risk is relative, Captain. Just being here is a risk. Might as well make it count." The Dominion was losing patience. Had promised his superiors a quick victory. Instead, he was stuck fighting a prolonged siege against an enemy that refused to break. More ships arrived to reinforce him, but the humans kept adapting, kept surviving, kept fighting. 1 month into the siege, Ho received a private communication from Elder. "Captain, may I visit your ship?" asked. "I wish to see your crew, to thank them personally." "Of course," Ho said. Arrived by shuttle. When he walked through the corridors of the Indomitable, he saw human crew members working alongside engineers. He saw exhausted pilots grabbing quick meals before their next sortie. He saw medical staff treating wounded from both species. He also saw the memorial wall. Names were engraved there. Every human who had died defending the list was growing. Stood before the wall for a long time, Ho found him there. 14,000 humans, said quietly. 14,000 of your people have died for mine. Why do you do this? What drives humans to sacrifice so much for strangers?" Ho thought about his answer carefully. "Because someone has to. Because if everyone only helps people who can help them back, then the weak die every time. Because doing what's right is more important than doing what's easy." "But at what cost?" asked. How many more must die before you decide it's too much? I don't know, Ho admitted. Maybe a lot more, maybe we'll all die here. But here's the thing, Elder, every person on this ship volunteered. They knew the odds, they knew they might not go home. They came anyway. That's what makes them human, not their DNA, their choice. His body glowed bright. We will remember this. If we survive, we will remember forever. That we'll never forget what humanity did for us. Then survive, Ho said firmly. Make sure our sacrifice means something. Build something beautiful. Create something lasting. Show the galaxy that saving your species was worth it. Outside, another wave of Dominion ships approached. Alarms sounded throughout the fleet. Ho and looked at each other. Time to get back to work, Ho said. As he ran to the bridge, he thought about Earth. He thought about the people watching from home, seeing reports of the casualties. He wondered if they were angry, if they regretted the decision to help. Then he pushed those thoughts away. They needed him. His crew needed him. And the Dominion needed to learn that humans didn't abandon people just because it got hard. All ships, he said into the communications system, stand ready. They're coming again, and we're going to show them that Earth doesn't give up. Had turned herself into a war correspondent without meaning to. She stood on the observation deck of the Indomitable, recording everything with her camera. Behind her, the battle raged in silent flashes of light. Ships exploded, missiles streaked across the darkness, and humans kept fighting. This is day 47 of the siege, said into her camera. Her voice was tired but steady. The Dominion thought humans would break by now. They thought we would see their numbers and run. They don't understand us yet. They don't understand that humans are at our best when someone tells us we can't do something. She panned the camera to show the planet below. Prime is still free, still alive, because 43 human ships said no to an empire. Her broadcasts were being sent back to Earth, then shared across the galactic network. At first, only a few species paid attention. But as the siege continued, more and more people started watching. They saw something they had never seen before, a species fighting and dying for someone else without any gain for themselves. On a planet called IV, a young alien named watched broadcasts in his apartment. Species looked like tall, thin birds with 4 arms. He was an engineering student, comfortable and safe. He had always trusted his government to do the right thing. But his government had voted no to helping the. And now he was watching humans do what his people should have done. This is wrong, said to his roommate. We should be there, we have ships, we have resources. Why aren't we helping? His roommate shrugged. Because it's not our problem. Besides, the humans are probably going to lose. Why waste our ships on a losing battle? Couldn't stop thinking about it. He watched every broadcast. He saw human pilots climbing into fighters knowing they might not come back. He saw engineers working 20-hour shifts to keep damaged ships operational. He saw a medical officer named I treating wounded, her hands moving with practiced skill even as tears ran down her face. In the broadcast, I spoke to his camera. I've lost count of how many surgeries I've performed, she said. Her medical uniform was stained with blood from 3 different species. Human, and now we have volunteers from other species arriving. I treat everyone the same, because that's what we do, that's what humans do. Why do you think volunteers are coming? Asked her. I smiled, tired but genuine. Because people see what we're doing and it reminds them of who they want to be. It's easy to be selfish. It's easy to say, not my problem. But deep down, most beings want to be good. They just need someone to show them it's possible. That broadcast changed everything. Within days, ships started arriving from across the galaxy. Not military fleets, individual vessels, cargo ships modified with weapons, racing yachts that had been turned into fast attack craft, even a few small warships whose captains their government orders. Lieutenant Wu Jin was now Commander Wu Jin after his promotion. He was in charge of coordinating these new arrivals. His command center was chaos. Screens showed dozens of different species, all speaking different languages, all wanting to help. "Commander, we have another arrival," his assistant said. "A IV transport ship. The pilot says he's here to volunteer." Wu Jin recognized the species. IV voted against helping their government will be angry. The pilot says he doesn't care. He says watching humans fight made him ashamed of his own people. He wants to do something about it. He had sold everything he owned, bought a used transport ship, filled it with supplies, and made the 3-month journey to the system. His government declared him a criminal. His family was embarrassed, but he didn't care. When met Commander Wu Jin in person for the first time, he stood at attention like he thought a soldier should. "I'm not military trained," admitted. "I'm an engineer, but I can help repair ships. I can run supplies. I can do something useful." Wu Jin looked at the tall alien bird creature standing before him. "Why did you come? You could be arrested when you go home." "Because I watched your people fight alone and I realized something," said. "Being safe and comfortable doesn't make you good. Standing up when it costs you something does. I want to be good." Wu Jin smiled. "Welcome to the fleet. We need all the engineers we can get." Wasn't alone. A ship from II arrived, crewed by miners who brought refined metals for repairs. A medical ship from Deneb VI came with supplies and volunteer doctors. 3 fighter pilots from different species showed up, ready to fly alongside commander squadrons. Each arrival made the Dominion angrier. Overlords sent messages to the home governments of these volunteers, demanding they stop their citizens from interfering. Some governments, many didn't. Public opinion was shifting. On the planet Helios Prime, the most powerful world in that sector, massive protests erupted. Citizens gathered by the millions demanding their government help They had watched broadcasts. They had seen humans die. They wanted their government to do something. President Mi watched these developments from Earth. She received daily reports about the changing galactic situation. Her advisors were split on what it meant. "The volunteers are helping," one advisor said, "but the Dominion is getting angrier. They've declared that any species sending help to the will be considered hostile." "Let them declare it," Mi said firmly. "We knew this would be difficult, but look at what's happening. The galaxy is waking up. People are choosing to help instead of just watching." A message came in from the Galactic Council. They wanted an emergency session. Mi decided to go herself. The council chamber looked the same as before, but everything felt different. The council members who had voted no months ago now looked uncomfortable. Some avoided eye contact. Others looked defensive. Mi stood at the center, where Elder had once pleaded for help. "You called this emergency session," she said calmly. "I'm listening." A blue alien with 6 arms, the same one who had spoken before, stood up. "President Mi, your actions have created a crisis. The Dominion is threatening trade agreements. They're closing borders. Your stubbornness is harming the entire galactic economy." "My stubbornness," Mi's voice was ice. "You mean Earth's refusal to let an innocent species die?" "You made this personal," another council member said. "You made it about morality instead of practicality. Now you've inspired others to act foolishly. Volunteers from dozens of species are flocking to the system. This disrupts the natural order of things." "The natural order," Mi repeated. "You mean the order where the strong do whatever they want and everyone else suffers. That natural order." She looked around the chamber. "I'll tell you what's really happening. Your citizens are watching humans die for strangers, and they're asking why you won't do the same. They're asking why you have all this power and won't use it to help people. That's what scares you. Not the Dominion, not economic disruption. You're scared that your own people see you for what you are." "That's enough," someone shouted. "No, it's not enough," Mi shot back. "For thousands of years, you've built this system where might makes right, where having power means you can take whatever you want, where the weak are forgotten. Earth is showing everyone there's a different way, and you hate it because it makes you look bad. She took a breath, calming herself. I didn't come here to argue. I came to make a proposal. Join us. Send your fleets to defend show your citizens that you're capable of doing the right thing. The Dominion will retaliate, the blue alien said. So will we, Me replied. And so will every species that's sent volunteers. And so will every citizen in your own worlds who's watching this and choosing their heroes. You have a choice. Be part of the solution or be remembered as the people who stood by while others fought. Back at the system, the fighting intensified. The Dominion was throwing everything at the defenders. They couldn't understand why the humans wouldn't break, couldn't comprehend why other species were joining them. Captain Wu arrived with reinforcements from Earth. Every ship that could possibly be spared was sent. Earth's home defense was stripped to the minimum. It was a massive risk, but Me had authorized it. Wu was a calm, methodical officer. He brought supplies, ammunition, and most importantly, fresh crews to replace the exhausted defenders. Captain Ho met him in the docking bay of the Indomitable. Good to see you, old friend, Ho said. They had served together years ago. You look terrible, Wu observed. When's the last time you slept? I'll sleep when this is over, Ho said. What's the situation back home? Earth is with you 100%, Wu said. Public support is at 92%. People understand what you're doing here. They're proud. Ho felt relief wash over him. He had worried that Earth would turn against them as casualties mounted, but humans understood. They got it. In space, Commander was leading a raid with her combined human and volunteer fighter wings. She had pilots from 6 different species now. They worked together like they had trained for years, even though some had only arrived days ago. All wings target the Dominion command carrier, ordered. That big ugly ship in the center. Let's send a message. The fighters dove in. Human precision met speed met toughness. They hit the command carrier from 6 directions at once. The ship's defenses couldn't track them all. Explosions ripped across the carrier's hull. Its communications array went dark. The ship began to list to one side. That's for everyone you've killed, shouted over the radio as she made another pass. Overlord watched from a backup command ship as his carrier burned. He was running out of options. The siege was costing him more ships than planned. His supply lines were being raided. Volunteers kept arriving to help the humans. And worst of all, his superiors were losing patience. A transmission came in from the Dominion home world. Took it in private. You have failed, the voice said. It was cold, mechanical. You were supposed to crush them in days. It has been months. The Dominion Council is displeased. The humans fight like nothing we've encountered, said. They're stubborn, clever, and they've inspired others to join them. I need more ships. You already have more than 200 vessels. How many more do you need to defeat 43 human ships? It's not 43 anymore. Volunteers have swelled their numbers to over 80, and they're using tactics we've never seen. Hit and run, asymmetric warfare. They make us pay for every meter of space. Then make them pay more, the voice commanded. Use the dreadnoughts, end this immediately. The galaxy is watching our failure, it ends now. Felt cold. The dreadnoughts were massive planet-killer ships. Using them meant total war. But orders were orders. It will be done, said. In the human fleet, sensors detected something new jumping into the system. 3 massive ships. Each one was 10 times larger than anything the Dominion had used before. Commander Wujin stared at his screens in horror. Get me Captain Ho, now. Ho appeared on the screen. What is it? Dreadnoughts, sir, 3 of them. They're moving toward Prime. Ho felt his blood run cold. Dreadnoughts could crack planets. This was no longer a siege. It was extermination. Get everyone ready, he ordered. We're about to face the real test. The 3 dreadnoughts moved through space like mountains. They were dark, angular ships covered in weapons. Each one could destroy a planet by itself. The human volunteer fleet looked like toys in comparison. Captain Ho stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the massive ships approach. His crew was silent. Everyone knew what those ships meant. This wasn't a siege anymore. It was execution. "How long until they're in firing range of the planet?" Ho asked. 6 hours, sir," the tactical officer replied. His voice shook slightly. Commander Wu Jin appeared on a communication screen. "Captain, I've run every scenario I can think of. We can't stop all three. Even if we throw everything at one dreadnought, the other two will still destroy Prime." Ho nodded slowly. He had known this moment might come. The moment when humanity's stubbornness met reality's hard wall, but he wasn't ready to give up. "Send a message to all ships," Ho ordered. "Tell them what we're facing. Tell them they can leave if they want. No one will think less of them. They've already done more than anyone could ask." The message went out. Ho waited to see how many ships would turn and run. He wouldn't blame them. This was suicide. But no one left. Not one ship. Instead, messages started coming back. From Captain Wu, "Earth didn't send us here to run when it got hard." From Commander, "My pilots are ready. We'll hit those dreadnoughts with everything we have." From the volunteer engineer, "I came here to make a difference. Leaving now would make everything meaningless." Message after message. Human crews, defenders, volunteers from 20 different species, all saying the same thing: "We're staying." Ho felt something tight in his chest. Pride, maybe. Or love for these brave, foolish people who refused to abandon hope even when hope seemed gone. On Earth, President Mi received an emergency message from the Galactic Council. She took it in her office, alone. The blue alien with 6 arms appeared on screen. He looked different now. Less arrogant, almost afraid. "President Mi," he said, "our intelligence reports that the Dominion has sent dreadnoughts to the system. They're going to destroy the planet, your fleet, everyone." "I know," Mi said calmly. "Captain Ho just reported it." "Then you understand there's no hope. You must order your ships to withdraw. Save what forces you can." "No." The blue alien looked shocked. "No, they're going to die, all of them." "They know that," Mi said. "They're staying anyway, because that's what humans do. We don't abandon people just because winning becomes impossible." "This is madness." "Maybe," Mi agreed, "but it's the kind of madness that built civilization. The kind that says some things are worth dying for. Your species gave up that madness a long time ago. You became practical, efficient, and empty." She leaned forward. "I'm going to make you an offer. One last time. Send your fleets, not because it's practical, not because you'll gain something. Send them because it's right. Send them because your citizens are watching and they want to see their leaders be brave for once." "We would be fighting the Dominion," the blue alien said. "It could mean war across the entire galaxy." "Then let there be war," Mi said fiercely. "Let there be war if the alternative is letting bullies destroy innocent people. Sometimes peace is just another word for cowardice." The screen went blank. Mi sat back in her chair, exhausted. She had done everything she could. The rest was up to them. In the system, the dreadnoughts were 3 hours from firing range. The human fleet was formed up in a defensive line between the massive ships and the planet. It was like paper trying to stop a sword. Elder was on the planet's surface, standing with his people. Millions of had gathered in the capital city. They weren't hiding. They weren't running. If this was the end, they would face it together. Looked up at the sky and saw the human ships. So small, so fragile, so determined. "Why did they come?" a young asked. "Why would they die for us?" "Because they believe in something bigger than themselves," answered. "Because they think the galaxy should be better than it is. Because humans are stubborn enough to fight for that belief even when it costs them everything." On the Indomitable, Ho prepared to give one last order. He would charge the dreadnoughts. Do as much damage as possible before the end came. It wouldn't be enough, but at least they would go down fighting. Then something impossible happened. The sensors lit up with new contacts. Ships were jumping into the system. Lots of ships, coming from multiple directions. Sir, I'm reading. I don't believe it. I'm reading fleets from 23 different species, the sensor officer shouted. They're positioning themselves around us. Ho stared at the screen in disbelief. The blue aliens from Helios Prime had sent their fleet. The bird-like species had sent warships. Species after species that had voted no in the council chamber were arriving with military forces. Someone's hailing us, the communications officer said. It's the Helios Prime Fleet Commander. A face appeared on screen. The blue alien had 6 arms and looked familiar. It was the same one who had spoken against helping but now he looked different, determined. Captain Ho, the alien said, I am Fleet Commander. I voted against helping your people months ago. I was wrong. My government was wrong, and my people made sure we knew it. So here we are. Better late than never, yes. More faces appeared on screen, commanders from dozens of species. The Rapid Response Wing reporting for duty. Defense Fleet standing with you. Deneb Coalition forces ready to engage. Message after message. Species that had turned their backs were now standing shoulder to shoulder with humanity. Commander Woojin was crying at his station. He didn't care who saw. They came. They actually came. The combined fleet now numbered over 400 ships. They outnumbered the Dominion, and still more were arriving. Overlord watched his tactical displays in growing panic. This wasn't possible. His intelligence had reported that no major powers would intervene, but here they were, arriving in force, unified against the Dominion. A communication came in from the Dominion Council, the same cold, mechanical voice. Overlord, we are reading massive fleet movements. Species that were neutral are now hostile. How did this happen? The humans happened, said bitterly. They fought so hard and so long that they shamed everyone else into joining them. They turned a simple conquest into a moral crusade. Can you still win? Looked at his displays. 3 dreadnoughts, 217 regular warships, against more than 400 ships from 30 species. Ships that were motivated not by orders but by belief. No, admitted, we cannot win this. There was a long silence, then the voice spoke again. The Dominion Council orders immediate withdrawal. This target is no longer worth the cost. Leave the system and return home. But our reputation is already destroyed, the voice said coldly. We have lost more in this campaign than we would have gained, and now we face economic sanctions from dozens of species. Markets are closing to us. Trade agreements are being canceled, all because of one species of stubborn humans. Withdraw, now. Wanted to argue, but he knew it was over. The humans had won, not through superior force, not through better technology, but through sheer stubborn refusal to quit. He opened a channel to Captain Ho. Human said, you have caused my empire more trouble than any species in our history. You were supposed to be easy prey, weak, insignificant. We're human, Ho said simply. We don't do easy, and we're only insignificant if you measure value by size instead of heart. My fleet is withdrawing, said. They are yours to protect, but know this, the Dominion has a long memory. We will not forget what happened here. Good, Ho said. Remember it. Remember that humanity stands with the weak. Remember that we don't abandon our friends. And remember that bullies eventually meet someone who won't back down. The Dominion fleet began to turn. The massive dreadnoughts slowly reversed course. One by one, the warships left the system. The siege was over. On Prime, millions of watched the enemy leave. For a moment, there was stunned silence. Then someone began to sing, a song of joy, of survival, of hope. Others joined in. Soon the entire planet was singing, their crystalline voices creating harmonies that could be heard even in space. In the human fleet, people were cheering, crying, hugging each other. Commander let out a whoop of joy that echoed through every fighter squadron. Dawn collapsed in his engineering station, exhausted but smiling. I sat down in her medical bay and just cried, releasing months of tension. President Mi received word of the victory in her office on Earth. She allowed herself a small smile, then got to work. There was much to do. 3 weeks later, a treaty signing was held at the Galactic Council Station. 40 species came together to sign what became known as the Accords. It was a mutual defense pact. Any species who signed promised to defend any other signatory from aggression. The galaxy had learned something from humanity's stand. They had learned that strength meant nothing without the will to use it for good. That civilization was measured not by power, but by how it treated the powerless. Elder spoke at the signing ceremony. His crystalline body glowed bright enough to light the entire chamber. "For 10,000 years my people lived in peace," said. "We believed the galaxy was kind. We were wrong. The galaxy is not kind by nature. It must be made kind by those brave enough to stand for kindness." He turned to face the human delegation. "Humanity taught us that. They taught everyone here. When we had nothing to offer, when every practical calculation said to abandon us, humans said no. They said that our lives mattered simply because we were alive. They paid in blood and sacrifice to prove that principle." His voice grew stronger. "Though we'll never forget. We will spend the next 10,000 years trying to be worthy of the gift humanity gave us. The gift of survival, the gift of hope, the gift of showing us what true civilization looks like." The treaty was signed. Flags from 40 species were raised together in a new alliance headquarters. The human flag flew in the center, not because Earth demanded it, but because everyone else insisted. Captain Ho stood with his crew at the ceremony. He looked tired, he had lost weight, he had new scars, but he stood straight and proud. Found him after the ceremony. "How does it feel?" she asked. "You changed the galaxy." "I didn't change anything," Ho said. "I just showed people what was already possible. They made the choice to be better." "You lost a lot of people," said gently. 28 ships, 14,000 personnel." "I know." Ho looked at the memorial wall that had been built in the new Alliance headquarters. Names were engraved there. Every person who had died defending the human and non-human alike. But they died for something real. They died proving that the galaxy could be better. That's worth something. That night Ho visited the observation deck alone. He looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth. Home. He would return soon. Back to probably get medals he didn't want and give speeches he didn't enjoy. But before all that, he allowed himself this moment, this quiet victory. Humanity had stood its ground, against impossible odds, against practical advice, against everyone who said it couldn't be done. And the galaxy had watched and learned and changed. Maybe that was what humanity's real gift to the universe was. Not technology or weapons or even courage, but the stubborn, foolish, beautiful belief that things could be better. That someone had to stand up. That right mattered more than might. The galaxy had forgotten what that meant. Humanity remembered, and in remembering, they had reminded everyone else. Ho smiled at the stars. Earth had always been the underdog, always the small species fighting above its weight. But underdogs had one advantage, nothing to lose and everything to prove. "We held the line," Ho whispered to the stars. "We held the line and we didn't break. That's what humans do." Behind him, the memorial wall gleamed with names. Heroes who would be remembered as long as the Alliance stood. People who had proven that one species, standing for what was right, could change everything. They were saved. The galaxy was different, and humanity had earned its place not through conquest or trade, but through the simple act of refusing to let the weak die alone. In the end, that made all the difference.